Hey guys, ExplorerOne. I've been wanting to make a video about the royal family, specifically Prince William, and a lot of the symbolism that's presented in the media and pop culture, as well as movies and all different types of different media that seem to be, at least at a minimum, portraying him as a possible Antichrist candidate. Now, if you're not someone that's religious or a Christian or a follower of Jesus or really spiritual in any way, I still think you're really going to enjoy this video because at a minimum, you're going to see the manipulation and the symbolism that's blatant and occurring and being portrayed in many different forms of culture that we take in. Now, I've been researching sort of conspiracies and things of that genre since 2010, 2011, that time period there. And in the past, I do recall coming across some things and seeing some of this being shown in different blogs and forums, and I've watched videos on it. But I recently came across a blog that has a wealth of information, and it has stuff that I've never seen before. So, and it's all compiled in one place, and I was just blown away by it. So I want to share that with you. Okay, so the blog is called Fourth Tell, right? And I'm going to link it below, and you're definitely going to want to actually go to the blog after you watch the video and read it, because there's no way that I can, give you all of the information in this video. And the writing style is definitely far better than what I could verbally portray in any case. But the person who does the blog is Sabinevlaming. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. She saw my video about Obama's tweets, and she actually helped it get a lot more attention. I mean, as you can see, it got a lot of views here, and I owe that definitely the majority of that to her assistance in helping it get a lot more attention than just simply on YouTube. And she sent me a message and said, hey, I saw your video, so forth and so on, and I think you should check out my blog because it has information that you might be interested in. So I went over to the blog. And the first thing that caught my attention was this picture that she had on her blog, and she goes into a lot of detail on it, and I'll give it to you in a little bit of a nutshell, but you're going to want to read the whole thing. Is essentially what is occurring with the royal family, and definitely with Obama, is the portrayals in the media always seem to have some sort of biblical end-time symbolism. Not always, but frequently they do. And a lot of people pick up on this. I've talked about the Obama stuff quite a bit, but I think the point of even getting into looking at it is that you have to understand that a public figure on the level of the royal family, anything that comes out in the press as far as these appearances where they go to events and games, the photographs, everything is very carefully planned and very specific. And I'll give you sort of an example of what I mean. We all remember this, right? This is Obama, and somehow the image that they chose to use for, I believe, a Time article that that was online, and then the video, of course, inside doesn't line up as perfectly, but the image that they actually use on the mainstream outlet, they line up these horns perfectly so that he has Baphomet horns, and I can guarantee you that is not an accident. So Obama is frequently portrayed in a very demonic or Baphomet or satanic style. Here's another one that was just recent at the September 23rd event where the Pope came and was in a place where he did not belong, and they had this, the Air Force wings in the background, and it just perfectly lines up to give him devil horns. And in my opinion, that is not a mistake or just happenstance. The Bible describes Mephisto or Satan as Lord of the Flies, and so it's very curious that we have all these instances where Obama gets photographed with flies on his face, and I believe either 3 or 4 interviews where there is a fly that's just incessant upon landing on him, which is just bizarre because it keeps happening over and over. Some people have speculated that Obama might indeed be the Antichrist because of, his name meaning lightning from heaven, or being changed to meaning lightning from heaven. From Barry Soetoro to Barack Hussein Obama, and these occurrences with the flies and the description in the Bible of Mephisto and all these different things. And what I'm starting to lean towards is he's being presented as, or he is the symbolism surrounding him is more of the spirit of Satan rather than the Antichrist. Now, that's just my opinion, but I'm going to show you now what is very fascinating about Prince William and his symbolism that gets portrayed in the media. And it seems like they are setting the stage for him to either be the Antichrist or appear as the Antichrist. It's the symbolism that is being presented is just fascinating. And it starts really when he was born. They started using this very specific phrasing about him being the King of Hearts. And it's fascinating because, you know, number one, they're showing him as a king, right? And number two, because he's already going to be adored. Even as a baby, they're portraying him as the King of Hearts. And, you know, you have all of this heart symbolism that is surrounding him. Now, I had forgotten this, but when you start talking about him being healed from a head wound, here's Revelation 13:3, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And here he is when he's younger with this very serious head wound from a golf club accident. They've got, you know, at least the way it was portrayed in the media, you know, you've got the ambulances and, you know, this was, of course, you know, before viral on the internet, but in terms of the media, this was a viral story and all the world wondered after it. He was the wounded prince, right? And then he's healed. So, you know, very interesting symbolism. Now check this out. I mean, those of you that watch my videos, you know that I've talked time and time again about how we keep seeing this unicorn symbolism surrounding the Antichrist, or at least that's what I keep seeing over and over. The Trials fusion game where it shows the Antichrist, you know, coming over the Rainbow Bridge, or the Rainbow Bridge appears via CERN, and then the Antichrist and Satan are riding on the unicorn. And so here they have him portrayed on this little unicorn horse. And I just found that incredible because if I did see this years ago, I would have never connected those dots. And now that I've done research and made videos, I'm coming back to this stuff that I've probably seen before and seeing it with a whole different point of view because of this unicorn symbolism. How about this photo, which conveniently makes sure to get the dragon right on top of him, basically. These flowers, she points out, are narcissus flowers, which has an interesting sort of correlation if, of course, you know, the Antichrist would be quite the narcissist, right? I mean, we know at a minimum Obama is a narcissist, and he definitely has the spirit of the Antichrist, if not the spirit of Satan himself. A couple of photos from Diana's funeral. Sabine speculates that this event here, however you believe it happened, whether it was faked or she was murdered by the royal family itself, which is probably what I believe happened. She was intentionally murdered. But what this created was this sort of emotional outpouring and emotional connection of empathy and sympathy for the boys, right? These young boys that lost their mother in a tragic accident at an early age, and it compels the public to embrace them and love them. You know, it's fascinating when you look at it from that angle. Some magazines here where they're already alluding to him saving the monarchy and, you know, being the golden boy, you know, with the perfect looks and the perfect royal family and the perfect persona. She even speculates and makes some connections on a lot of these TV shows that we see where it has this sort of, you know, Aryan, blonde, handsome young man in these roles that have to do with, you know, either kingdom or royalty or running the world, if you will, you know. And so she makes these connections between all these movies and how they are very similar to his own personal appearance. Here's the Harry Potter movie where it seemed to have a symbolized portrayal of his future coronation with all of these real things as far as Westminster Abbey and then what is portrayed in the movie, which I found Very, very fascinating. And going back to his head wound, here's where it gets. This blew my mind a little bit, right? So he has his head wound, right, that he healed from, and he has this scar on his head. But he continually describes the scar as his Harry Potter scar. And her webpage here has linked videos where you can see his interview where he describes it that way. But look at Harry Potter's scar. What do you see on there? It's a lightning bolt, right? So it's like his doesn't look like a lightning bolt, but he's trying to allude to the lightning bolt of Harry Potter. So that's why the scene that I just showed you with the future coronation, ties in perfectly, because he is comparing himself to Harry Potter. It's got the lightning bolt scar. The movie has a coronation scene. It's bizarre. We know how they love wordplay. We've studied this over and over. And she goes on to show the symbolism of the Will I Am, or William, using Will Smith in the I Am Legend poster, which also ties into the artist Will I Am, whose name is probably a wink and a nod to Prince William. And she connects it to him being, the legend. And so here with The Dark Knight Rises, we've seen how The Dark Knight applies to Obama, and curiously, it also applies to Prince William as well. Disney's Cinderella and then the royal fairy tale wedding, looking very, very similar. Some more comparison shots from the wedding to the movie. And I know The Lion King has been, seen as a story about Obama. And interestingly enough, Obama can be seen by many people as the Antichrist, but it also fits for Prince William. How about this comparison shot here? He says, I'm going to be a mighty king, so enemies beware. And they make a joke about a feline cat that is full of hair, but not having so much hair. So in the movie, that doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense if they're talking about someone who isn't going to have hair. Interesting quote by Diana here about Will's rebuilding Camelot, and she'll be his Merlin. And this movie or novel here, The Return of Once and Future King. Story of King Arthur. Now, this is one that I remember from my previous research, and it still blows me away. This, again, we know that the media is portraying these images on purpose in a very specific, planned out manner. So they show him in this exact pose with a lamb. There are so many famous paintings or depictions of Jesus, as the shepherd with his lamb. And so they get this perfect photo of William with the lamb, mocking or sort of imitating Christ. But he is showing off to the camera the cloven hoof, the hoof of a goat or Baphomet. Now, lambs do have hooves, but he is taking the time to show you that in the photo. He's holding it up so that he is imitating Christ, but showing you the difference. Still not convinced? I mean, look at this photograph here. I mean, it's just incredible. This is from the Bank of America mural, which many people have decoded, including Angel White, comparing this photograph of William to the image of the person that's on here. And interestingly enough, she even links Angel White's video where he found the hidden face by using Photoshop and inverting the picture, which is an incredible video, so you should definitely watch this video. This is from the very dark murals that used to be in the Denver airport, but were eventually removed, showing the coming New World Order, and looking very similar to this portrait of William. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. This magazine cover here showed him in a slightly different, possibly more accurate light, with him being shown with very dark black hair and a black shirt with very interesting verbiage on here and symbolism in the photograph as well. Of course, the Baphomet horns. Interesting eye anomalies. Some people call this reptilian. I'm more inclined to say it's someone that is either possessed or has the spirit of Satan within them, but that sort of thing does tend to occur on these high figures that seem influenced by darkness. They tend to get this sort of weird anomaly in their eye. Here's Kate's eyes here. This photograph carefully lined up to have the word king in the picture. More interesting, though, are the patches that he appears to be wearing. If you look carefully, you'll notice the goat of Mendes or Baphomet, as well as the lightning bolt symbolism. Very, very fascinating. You may want to pause this to look at it more closely, or just click on the link to go to her blog. Here is his coat of arms, which literally seems to have every piece of the description biblically from Revelation 13 on the coat of arms. So it's just incredible. I'm not going to show you everything because I want you to actually go to the blog and read it and take a look at it for yourself. Here's some more stuff here. I'll suggest that you go there and take a look at it, but I will show you one more thing that I found that just sort of blew me away. This is a more recent blog post that she did about the Black Horse Inn. And the Black Horse Inn is where he had is the team that he played for in this photo op, and the symbolism is just beyond amazing. First of all, of course, you have the Nike swoosh. No coincidence they chose that as the sponsor. So you have your Nike goddess symbolism as well as your Saturn symbolism. You'll notice the colors they chose for the uniform almost perfectly identical to the exact colors used in the most common representation of the nuclear radiation symbol. Still not convinced they're trying to tell you something? How about these carefully constructed photos here that were used in the press and the media? How about this perfect 9/11 here that was photographed not once but twice? I did find it also interesting that they also got this number 22 in there. There's multiple ways that you can look at it, and I'd love to hear your opinion below. I can see it as, the first event being 9/11, the second event being nuclear, and so the 922 as in the continuation of 11, because the 11 is the master number. So after 11 comes 22, and then after 22 comes 33. So interestingly enough, in this same photograph, you have 22 plus 11, which is 33. So you almost have it fully completed. So take from that what you will. How about this photograph comparison here, where they get him perfectly with his arms up as though he's on a crucifix and even has his feet crossed, just as Christ did on the cross. She even provides this example from Michael Jackson's This Is It tour cover, which conveniently has a Baphomet hidden perfectly in this logo. A more minor detail is that his pants seem to have the JC. Some people might find that to be a stretch, but remember, everything in these photographs is there's intent there. So I found that interesting as well. The ball they're using has these vectors, right? Like the NASA vector, or should I say chevron, excuse me. But it also could be, a pyramid or a triangle. Lots of different things that it could represent. And of course, let's not forget it could be for the fifth age as well. We've been seeing a lot of V fifth age symbolism. Obama's video that I just did where he shows the V as he's wiping the tears from his eyes at the press conference for possibly the fifth age as well as other symbolism. And this ties in perfectly with the Google Android Pay commercial that I did with the Mark of the Beast symbolism, as well as Obama's tweets about lend a hand, chip in, right? This Android commercial about a rushing revolution that has this very convenient 666 pop secret display here, and he says, hey, to draw your attention to it. And it's all about, in my opinion, the mark of the beast. Not specifically that the Android Pay is the mark of the beast, but they're just showing the mark of the beast symbolism along with this payment technology. It's the symbolism, you don't have to take it literal as in Android Pay is the mark of the beast. It's just what they're sort of portraying. Now, this commercial ends, of course, with them saying the British are coming, the British are coming. So what does that remind you of? Well, of course, everything that we just discussed with Prince William. Now, one thing I did leave out of this, I don't know if it's going to be on the screen here. This commercial ends right here. If you watch the original, it says stock up quickly. Someone pointed that out to me, and I want to thank you because I failed to mention that in this decode. I didn't see it until after. So I hope you guys were able to get something out of that. Again, I really hope that you go over to the blog. I mean, we're all in this stuff together. And in my opinion, when you start to see everything that's being presented as far as the symbolism, the end time symbolism, that's what causes me to to have faith in the opposite. You know, if they're the evil, then there has to be a way through all of this darkness. In my opinion, that is through Jesus Christ. That is the one thing that causes me not to have any fear at any point in time about any of the things that we look at and discuss. So I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I will tell you what I do, and hopefully that means something for you and to you. As always, thank you for exploring. God bless.